Namaste children. As we have started the chapter Mughal Empire, in which we have already learned about the three Mughal emperors, the three Mughal rulers. Those were Babur, the founder of Mughal Empire, then his son Humayun, and then after Akbar. Akbar the Great, who ruled up to 1556 to 1605 CE, was the great Mughal ruler who was well known in Indian history because of his religious tolerance and divine faith, which he started as the religious tolerance and his religious policy. So, this Akbar, he was at the age of 14, he ascended the throne under the guardianship of Bairam Khan, as we learned before about Akbar. And the main thing about Akbar is that he set up an Ibadat Khana or a prayer hall in Fatehpur Sikri, where religious discussions were held on every Friday evening. And he also started Deen-e-Ilahi, means divine faith, in 1582 by putting the good points of religions and like Hinduism, Christianity, Jainism and other faiths with Islam. So this Deen-e-Ilahi was not a religion but a socio-religious path to bridge the difference among different communities. Jahangir, who ruled over 1605 up to 27 CE. Akbar was succeeded by his son Muhammad Sultan Salim. He ascended the throne in 1605 at the fort of Agra and assumed the name Jahangir. Jahangir means holder of the world, and the title of Nuruddin means light of the faith. Akbar always addressed him as Shekhu Baba. So there is a story behind it, children, that Akbar was blessed with a baby boy about whom he used to go to the Sheikh Salimuddin Chishti Dargah, where a Sufi sant used to live. His name was Sheikh Salimuddin Chishti, and this Jahangir was also named Sheikh Salim on the name of this Sufi sant. It is said that Akbar was blessed by the blessings of this Sufi sant, and that's why he used to name Jahangir as Salim, and he always used to address him as Shekhu Baba. In 1606, Jahangir's son Prince Khusru escaped from Agra. Jahangir followed and defeated him at the Battle of Bhairawal, as many nobles were trying to make Khusru the emperor in the place of Jahangir. So the rule of succession in the Mughal Empire was very different, because at that time it was the ruling emperor who used to decide among the sons about the successor of himself. Suppose that if the king is having 3 or 4 sons, then it is not necessary that the elder son will be the successor. So at that time the king used to decide to make his own successor or to distribute the wealth or the provinces of the kingdom among its sons, so that there is a kind of competition among the sons, and there is a kind of unsatisfaction towards the father to the sons also. So that in 1606, Jahangir's son, means Jahangir's own son, who revolted, named Prince Khusro, and then escaped from Agra. Jahangir followed and defeated his own son in the Battle of Bhairawal, as many nobles, means many nobles who were working under Jahangir at that time, those were trying to make Khusro the emperor in the place of Jahangir. So Jahangir consolidated his territories and developed the administrative system that was introduced by his father. The court culture of the Mughals flourished under his rule. He had a keen interest in garden, Mughal painting reached its zenith during this time. He married Noor Jahan, light of the world. The meaning of Noor Jahan is light of the world. Jahangir restarted the war with Rajputs. The Afghans, Amirs of Bengal, opposed the authority of the Mughals, and the disturbance in the Deccan could not be controlled. So it was from very beginning at the time of Babur, that there were Rajputs who were the great enemy of these Mughals, who never accepted their supremacy in India, and that's why those Rajputs as well as the Afghans, in which Sher Suri comes, who defeated Humayun, so that these were the disturbing elements for the Mughals at that time, and the disturbance in Deccan could not be controlled also at that time. But do you know, children, Jahangir was able to conquer the fort of Khanwa, where even Akbar was not succeeded. And in 1627, due to excessive drinking, and Jahangir died, and at his place his son Shah Jahan succeeded the throne. Do you know, Jahangir was famous for his justice. Children, in history of Mughals, Jahangir was very famous for his justice, and he set up a chain of justice with 60 bells, 60 golden bells we can say. Those were attached one to each other, so that it was made of pure gold, and one end was attached to the fort of Agra where the king used to live, and the other to a stone column of the bank of river Yamuna, from where people, means common people, used to ring the bell to call the king for justice, and anyone who wanted justice could pull the chain to draw the attention of the king or emperor. Jahangir also issued 12 ordinances for the better governance of the country, so that it was Jahangir who proved his justice not only by establishing the chain of justice, but also after hearing the 12 ordinances also to make a better governance of his country. So this is all about Jahangir. Now comes the next Mughal emperor named Shah Jahan. Khurram or Shah Jahan was the third son of Jahangir, and he ruled up to 1628 to 58 CE. He took the title of Shah Jahan. His mother was the daughter of Uday Singh, the ruler of Jodhpur. As I told you before, that there were many queens of Mughal empires. So one of the queen of Jahangir, this Shah Jahan born, and he was named Khurram. His name was Khurram actually, and he was the third son of Jahangir. He took the title of Shah Jahan, and his mother was the daughter of Uday Singh, means a Rajput ruler, the ruler of Jodhpur. Shah Jahan had to face the rebellion of Jujhar Singh, a Bundel chief, and Jahan Lodi, an Afghan chief. Under Shah Jahan, the Deccan policy of Mughals entered a new phase. He annexed Ahmednagar and Daulatabad. He forced the rulers of Bijapur and Golconda to accept his supremacy. So this was earlier annexed by Babur also, by Akbar also, and again here in Ahmednagar and Daulatabad he annexed these two states. Not only this, he also means Aurangzeb this Shah Jahan also forced the rulers of Bijapur and Golconda in Deccan to accept his supremacy, and in 1636 Shah Jahan retreated to Agra and appointed Aurangzeb as the governor of Deccan. So Aurangzeb was the successor of Shah Jahan, and in 1636 Shah Jahan announced him as the governor of Deccan, announced Aurangzeb as the governor of Deccan. The Mughal Empire reached its greatest prosperity during the reign of Shah Jahan. His ministers were efficient and able. He was an orthodox Muslim, but was fair to non-Muslims also. He increased the magnificence of court, the peacock throne, the Taj Mahal at Agra, which is the very famous wonderful things. So this is the Taj Mahal situated at Agra, was made by this Shah Jahan, and the Red Fort at Delhi, the Jama Masjid in Delhi, and numerous other works of art and architecture testify his wealth as well as his aesthetic sense also. He is known as an engineer king because he made a lot of architectural work. He was an excellent calligraphist also. He gave patrons to scholars, artisans and craftsmen, poetry, music, painting, dance, astronomy, mathematics and medicine flourished under this intelligent emperor. It means ki it was a age of fully development, because development in all areas we can see here. As for example, in arts we can see different kind of scholars, artisans, craftsmen, poetry, music, painting, dance. On the other hand, in science sector, in astronomy, mathematics, medicines flourished under his rule. So it proves that it was an age of fully development. In September 1657, Shah Jahan fell ill. Immediately, his son started making preparation for capturing the throne. As I told you before, that there were a kind of competition among the princes. There is a kind of conspiracy, we can say, among the prince to occupy the throne. And same thing happened in the case of Shah Jahan also, when he fell ill in 1657. And instead of his treatment, immediately his son started making preparations for capturing the throne. And in 1658, Aurangzeb took the throne and imprisoned his father, who died in captivity in 1666. So in this way, Shah Jahan expired in the time when he was already in captivity in 1666. Now the next Mughal emperor about which we are going to learn is Aurangzeb, who was a staunch Muslim, and he ruled up to 1658 to 1707 CE. After capturing Agra, Aurangzeb crowned himself as the emperor, and he also assumed the title of Alamgir. He abolished the inland duties, means Rahdari, and octroi. Both are the name of different taxes, octroi or pandari, to please his subjects, to make the people satisfied, to make his subjects satisfied. He used to abolish the inland duties, means Rahdari and Pandari taxes. He was a Muslim fanatic and opposed religious tolerance, opposite to Akbar and other Muslim emperors. This Muslim emperor named Aurangzeb was opposed the religious tolerance toward other religions. He discontinued the practice of inscribing the kalima on the coins and abolished the celebration of Navroz, means New Year Day. Now his rule was a period of ceaseless wars in different parts of India. So as we have already learned before, that Shah Jahan, who just spent his time to make India, to make a different kind of architectural works, in which we can see the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort, etc., etc. Then Jahangir, who used to spend his time to make gardens and improvement of art and architecture. Then other sultans also, but opposite to them, this Aurangzeb spent his time in ceaseless wars in different part of India. The revolt of Rajputs, which were coming from the very beginning, from at the time of Babur, and the revolts of Rajputs proved very harmful to him also. The Marathas had become very powerful under Shivaji at that time. So Aurangzeb sent Shaista Khan. So this is the story between Shivaji and Aurangzeb, which is very popular in history, that Aurangzeb sent his governor named Shaista Khan to fight Shivaji, but Shaista Khan was defeated. And then Aurangzeb, well known that it is not possible for the Mughals to defeat the Marathas. Then he thinks something to do better, and he invited Shivaji to Agra for talks only, but where he used to imprison him, and Shivaji somehow managed to escape from his prison. So that he invited Shivaji only for talks, but where he used to imprison him, and then Shivaji, who was very clever, somehow managed to escape from his prison. The Marathas, the Jats and the Sikhs never allowed Aurangzeb to rest in peace. Then Aurangzeb had done a lot of deeds. He killed Guru Tegh Bahadur, whose son Guru Gobind Singh fought the Mughals till Aurangzeb's death in 1707. Then Aurangzeb conquered Bijapur and Golconda in Deccan. But due to his short-sighted policies, his vast empire went out from his grip. Many governors revolted against the emperor and established themselves as independent rulers, because there are many officers who belong to many religions in his court, and this Aurangzeb was very intolerant among towards the different kind of religions. So people are not well satisfied with his policies, especially the Marathas, the Jats and the Sikhs were very unsatisfied, and they never allowed him to rest in peace. So that he also killed Guru Tegh Bahadur, and then many governors revolted against this emperor and established themselves as independent rulers also at that time. The Mughal Empire survived till 1857. So this date of 1857 is very much important, because the first war of independence occurred in this time. Its rulers were the prisoners of East India Company after 1803. So we are talking about the Mughal rulers who were the pensioners of East India Company after 1803. East India Company was a British company. You will learn about it in class 8 in your next class. But this thing I have to say that after Mughal Empire, the Britishers were the rulers of India. So that this company named East India Company, it belongs to the British Empire or the British rule in India. So the rulers of Mughal were the pensioners of this East India Company after 1803, and it survived, the Mughal Empire survived till 1857. The last emperor was Bahadur Shah Zafar II, and he had to face a trial for leading the mutiny of 1857. He was convicted and exiled to Rangoon. So the last Mughal emperor was Bahadur Shah Zafar, we can say, who was leading the mutiny, the Sepoy mutiny in 1857 in the first war of independence, and that's why he was convicted and exiled to Rangoon. Yes, here is the photograph of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the oldest king, the oldest ruler who leads the whole Sepoy mutiny, the whole mutiny in 1857 in the War of Independence.